We are going to talk about urban centers. So, urban centers are located all across the globe. In 1900, London was the only city in the world with a population greater than 5 million people. Today, there are over 20 megacities around the world. What is a megacity? Any city with a population over 10 million people. But defining how many people live in a city can be tricky. Some cities are a combination of several smaller urban areas grouped together. So, for example, Tokyo has a population of about 4 million people when you just look at the city itself. But in the greater metropolitan area, there are over 37 million people, which is wild. There are other considerations to take into account too. So, in a lot of these large areas, it's really difficult to get an accurate representation of what the population is. So, it's really tricky to conduct a census. There may be a lot of people that don't have a fixed address, and it may be impossible to actually get a sense of how many people there are living in some of these places. So, placement of major urban areas. So, these big cities are centers for trade, business, and production. The location reflects the function of the city. So, Winnipeg obviously is not a mega city, but just so we kind of get an idea, let's have a look. So, as you can see, this is a map of Winnipeg from about 1900, and Winnipeg was primarily built around the forks because the two rivers were very important for conducting trade and travel. And there were also smaller communities located around, like over here and over here and over here, and so on and so forth, Fort Garry. And then as Winnipeg grew out, all of those smaller cities were engulfed by the city. So megacities are no different. They are typically located along a major river near a delta that feeds into the ocean. So we have London, and you can't see the river, but there is a river there, and then it feeds into the ocean. Same with Mumbai over here, and then also Sao Paulo in Brazil. You can't really see, but the ocean is right over here, just kind of off the picture. So, what do these major urban centers have in common? They have typically some characteristics in common, including economic, cultural, and political characteristics. So, some economic characteristics. Typically, megacities are the headquarters for multinational companies. So, they influence trade, communications, finance, and technology. And these giant companies that operate in these giant cities act as global control centers. So, they determine, like, basically how the world is running. And also, there are a lot of producer services located in these megacities as well. So, there are different activities that offer a wide range of services to these gigantic companies, and they quickly adapt to change. So, things like banking, accounting, marketing, insurance, legal services, and advertising. So, these megacities and urban centers are culturally diverse. There are a lot of different people with different preferences and beliefs. And also, they are usually major players in film, television, publishing, and sport. And there are usually a lot of giant events and other things that draw people in. Also, if you can think about other things, typically they're the site of theme parks. So, for example, Disney has a park in Tokyo, and they have a park in Paris, and so on and so forth. So political characteristics are pretty complex. Megacities are often not the capital of their region. However, organizations are typically drawn into these large cities and often have headquarters within the city. So, for example, the United Nations headquarters is located in New York City, but the capital of New York City is Albany. So, the two aren't necessarily related, and it differs around the world. So, Tokyo, for example, is the capital of Japan, and it's also by far the largest city. So that wraps up this video. So for your daily tasks, please look up the population of the 10 largest urban areas in the world and map them. There'll be a template posted on Esby. If you don't have a printer, you can just roughly sketch the continents and then label the map. So what do these places have in common? So think beyond what we talked about in this video. Think about other things that also may be at play. And what are some issues that urban centers may face? So what kind of social things do you think are happening? Do you think everybody has the same level of wealth? Do you think everybody lives in the same kind of home? Things like that. Also environmental things that might happen in urban centers. So think about, what does the air quality look like in one of these giant cities? Or are the streets super clean? Things like that. So when you're done your questions, please send them to me. Okay, bye.